Global.
You can do it. Good evening, everybody. I will call the meeting to order. This is a special council meeting in regards to the purpose is to initiate and determine a recruitment process timeline and a plan for the city manager for the city of Lakeside. Unfortunately, Rick is going to move on with his life and we'll miss him. So we're going to work on solutions for that. So if everybody could stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's do roll call. Tom Pointer, Ron Ward, Adam Hand, Mark Rudge,
Mickey Wood.
Tom Miller, Jim Carlisle.
Okay, everybody is present. Now, on the agenda, we didn't mention the fact that tonight we would allow public comment in regards to the hiring and criterion for the new city manager. That is a requirement with the open meeting law. So we will go ahead and start off with that. And remember, this is just simply comments in regards to the hiring criterion and standard. Would anybody like to make comments tonight? Mr. Armstrong? And this is Michael Armstrong, lives in Lakeside.
Michael Armstrong, Lakeside workers. I do believe I provided some information on job descriptions for a city reporter and an assistant city.
And I'll make sure the counselors get that information.
It's my belief that the city would be better served with a city reporter. They had a city reporter for decades. The city ran perfectly. Nothing really changed since the last city reporter. So I would urge the council to give consideration to a city reporter. Thank you.
Thank you. And would anybody else like to make any public comments? All right. So we'll go continue on with the agenda. Council discussion of next steps for replacing the administrative lead position of Lakeside. Rick, I believe you have a staff report you'd like to present.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I did prepare a staff report. There are copies on the back table. I laid one down on the dais for everybody here. After you contacted me about a special meeting tonight, I quite honestly felt obliged to provide my perspective. But, you know, a lot of this thing that we call self-governance is really about individual perspectives as to how we want to govern. So I would like to read it. It's about a page and a half and should not take me long if that's amenable.
Yes, thank you.
Mayor Crouch called a special council meeting for this evening appropriately to address the departure of your present city recorder manager. While a city council by design is all about public policy development, it has often been stated that the two most significant tasks of the city council is hiring an administrative head for the organization and the adoption of the annual municipal budget. The current city recorder manager, CRM, was hired by a city council who already had a majority of its members voted out of office, but the vote had not been certified yet, so was not official yet. The city survived 4 months of no city council meetings, and perhaps the break was good for everyone. Now you have a new city council and mayor elected by the citizens who voted, which happens to have an excellent diverse mix of representation of the community. Moving forward and hiring your own city manager is a good thing and can be a great process. You will need to reach some consensus as to what you want for the administrative leadership of the organization that you are a board member. There are many considerations in front of you, and I will attempt to provide some perspective, but please keep in mind that these perspectives are both objective and subjective in nature as we are discussing self-governance, for which we all have different perspectives. Does Lakeside need a city manager? Yes. While it is worthy to contemplate the skill set level that the organization needs, it is my opinion that you do need a city manager. Yes, they are expensive. However, the alternative most likely is a city recorder. If your organizational and finance house was in order, if we had a smooth process in order for code enforcement, personnel files, hiring practices, minutes, building maintenance program, 5-year capital improvement plans and budgets, documented vehicle maintenance, continuous staff development and training, airport operations managed, grant writing, grant administration, the house at the corner, which the insurance company may or may not insure, depending upon some pictures I'm providing them, long-term stability of organization and finances, then the choice of a city recorder managing city hall staff and a full-time public works director answering to the mayor could work. However, that is not where this organization is. Currently, I have 2 separate investigations ongoing related to 3-year-old financial decisions of federal grant money, including one asking what criteria did the city establish to authorize the use of federal funds for city employees to be paid. I have had a very patient citizen call several times with complaints about recent increase of hangar fees and people seeking to know how much they owe. We have received 2 payments in 2024. How many hangars are there? I don't know. A new project is the fact that all jurisdictions need to have an Oregon e-permitting system or comparable system in place to allow electronic submissions of permit applications and plan submittals by January 1, 2025. Our current Northwest codes does not meet this standard, nor do they plan to. Your organizational needs exceed the expected level of work for a city recorder to manage the office staff, the custodian of records, serve as election officer, and get the paper house in order. If the organization was in excellent structural and financial status, you could structure an arrangement without a city manager. Do you want to hire an interim manager? I have worked as an interim manager. One of the considerations if you hire an interim city manager is being upfront about whether or not the interim can apply for the permanent position. If you want an interim to make significant changes and you provide those tasks, you may or may not want to allow them to consider the position permanently. There's a certain sense of awareness and freedom serving as an interim and making directed changes to create a better environment for the next manager and for the organization. On the other side of the coin, hiring an interim and trying them out with an opportunity for long term can also be very motivating. So there's sort of 2 edges of the sword on that one. In conclusion, Needed by Flag Day, June 14th. Someone needs to be here on Flag Day to spend it with me. New clerk, interim manager, city recorder, interim city recorder. But it would be in your best interest to accomplish having someone spend Flag Day with me. That concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer questions or respond to editorialized comments.
Thank you. So as you can see, we've got quite a task ahead of us, and it's 2 days, less than a month that we have to get some type of replacement. Does anybody want to start off the discussion with what our next steps are? Okay, Jim, did you have a? No,
I'm new to this, so what is the next steps?
so we do need to find something. There, like Rick was saying, there are options we have. We could either attempt to find somebody in a month, and kind of rush it through the process, or we could hire an interim manager. Both of those types have risk and benefits to it. Obviously, the risk of hiring a permanent position person is you don't spend any time doing it and meeting this ominous deadline of June 14th. Hiring an interim manager might end up the same way, but we can start some type of a process. I'm thinking right away. We need to get some type of advertisement, define a criterion, I would say tonight. Because we don't really have the benefit of time. That's my thoughts.
I have a question.
Sure.
What about the League of Oregon Cities and helping us with that?
They are.
The League of Oregon City maintains a list for which they take the courtesy of creating a list, but they do not review, they don't provide any perspective as to their list of candidates. They are a information source where anybody who wishes to be on the list is on the list. And I have previewed that list within the last 24 hours. And I'm thinking there's 6 or 7, 4 who have submitted material within the 2024 year. One of them got appointed to Newport last week. So as a permanent city manager. There are 3 others on there that have provided information with various levels of skills or no skills, but they have a list that, where you could start with it relates to people to invite. But based upon my review of the list, I'm not sure if you want to limit yourself to just that remaining list of 3 people.
I have a question about how an interim city manager works. Are we still actively trying to find a permanent city manager? Yeah, so we're still like getting applications and things like that while they're.
That could be also an option. You can either plan on trying to have the interim here for a whole year and holding off into the fall to start recruiting, or you can make it a part of the interim's assignment to recruit, or you can run it as a separate track in which you have someone else or an outside out. The Lane Council of Governments, for example, helps cities with city manager recruitment. I've gone through the Lane Council of Government recruitment process twice, both at Oak Ridge. Didn't get hired either time, but and they have a great process. So back to your question, I believe it is your option to hold off for a while, let the dust settle, and figure out direction, figure out the new person, whoever he or she may be, and see how it goes, and then start the process. You can make it a part of their job, or you can run it separately from them if you don't want them involved in that process.
Yeah, and several of them actually advertise that they'll also do a recruitment process.
But that's really your choice.
Yeah.
Start now or wait. Your call.
You remember, Alan, when we had an interim before, what the agreement was there a 90-day thing, or do you
It was a
remember?
90-day contract, and I don't remember exact details of what.
The agreement's in your packet.
This
For
is
the last interim?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's not,
it's in the orange. one.
the interim agreement, it's in the packet, it's not the most recent interim. agreement.
Oh, my apologies.
Oh, it's not
This-
recent.
There's been another interim since Mr. Lee.
Yes, my recollection was that, he was on salary for the first 3 months. And that, under the terms of his contract, if we kept him after that, he was going to revert to an hourly rate that was going to be very expensive. And it was structured that way to encourage the city to move along with the search for a permanent person.
But what you said, the month was not long enough from a legal perspective or from our perspective.
Yeah.
Find a permanent manager, so you almost have to consider something like.
I'm in favor of finding an interim to get in here as soon as possible.
I agree, because there's so much things that we're looking to move forward in this town that if without one, we're spinning our wheels again.
Well, and the scary thing is paying the bills,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, that type of thing, so. Any more discussion about what type of a city manager we're looking for and what type of tactic we're taking? Does anybody want to talk about just going straight out and hiring a full-time person, or?
Now, individuals that Rick was talking about, is there a resume that we can actually look at and say, okay, what are we looking at with these managers or these interim managers?
How does that work? Because what they provided was not really a very full description. And I don't know, since it's a
What is
restricted site.
available on a closed access link that I have with the League of Oregon Cities is a brief description of their experience and their contact information. It definitely is not resume material. You get a flavor as to what they have done, but you do not get an inventory of everything they've done. Is that a fair analysis?
And Rick does know at least one of them.
Well, I've said that there's one that didn't have any experience at all.
There are two, yeah.
So, I mean, if you're looking for a public works director, we might talk about them, but as it relates to this, no. So we know a little bit about the three, but not a lot. But again, I'm suggesting that, even if you want to look at the three, there's no reason why you shouldn't put something out on the LOC website job thing for a week and see what else comes out.
Oh, yeah. And kind of when it comes to advertising, I think we want to go as broad as possible. The little extra money it's going to cost to advertise is always well worth it. We don't want to be down to, well, maybe one person shows up and we're making a bad decision. Yeah.
I didn't cast a broad net.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
We also need to do it fairly quickly.
Yeah, but then
In the
again,
next 10 days or something.
Then again, we need to get somebody in here, to pay the bills, like you said.
For the interim, yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, good. So let's kind of come to a consensus on whether we're looking for an interim manager or a full-time position.
We do both.
We can do both,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it gives us plenty of.
but I mean, emphasis.
It's not enough time. Not legally, not enough time to advertise and make applications and all the things that we set you up to do. But then we can be doing that with the interim in place or even
Right.
before.
But we're looking for a city manager versus a reporter. Is that what we're trying to determine here?
We're trying to determine whether we're gonna go with a interim city manager at this point. We all,
Now, can we actually look into somebody that wants to be a full-time manager and hire him as an interim manager for a trial period?
that's a little tricky. I mean, you should set up a contract. I don't know, I think this is a real question.
Um,
Stated that was actually, you said that in
Yeah.
the staff
Right.
report.
I think that it would be more appropriate if you advertised for a permanent city manager and pronounced that as part of the agreement, there'd be a 6-month probation period,
Or that-
rather than try to hire an interim and I don't think you can, I don't want to give you legal advice, but I think it would be challenging for you to appropriately within the public sector advertise in the methodology in which you suggested, Counselor. But that's really an attorney question than it is a city manager question.
All right. So everybody in favor of looking for an interim manager? Yeah, just raise your hand up. Okay, so that's the route we're gonna go. Now, next steps would be in the package, you got a sample of the determination of the desired position. What this here is was this the most recent job description or
And there is the one from Mr. Lee, which was 4 years old,
4 years old? Yeah.
and mine. You have my contract in there?
Yeah.
Which is also, so you got the current one, which is mine, and you have the one from when Mr. Lee was your interim.
Right, and right now I'm looking at job descriptions. to Make sure that we
Yeah.
have our criterion set. Did everybody get a chance to look at the job description?
I have a question.
Sure.
Are we gonna do city recorder / manager, or are we shoot for one or the other?
I think at this point, since it's an increment, that we just leave it as it is.
Mhm.
You know, maybe we'll find a city recorder in the process. You know, that's willing to do all this, because our pay rate is not huge. I mean, we pay pretty low, so maybe we will start digging into that book. And that's another good thing, and I'm just thinking about it, when we get to advertising, we should actually start advertising in the city recorder pool also, I think. I mean, it seems to me that would make sense too. Maybe there's a city recorder, well, for an interim, it might be a little difficult. Well, Rick,
Well, there's an Oregon City Recorders Association that does their own website and their own posting, so there's no reason why, we can't make an approach there as well.
because I think that might be, we might actually pull a lot of people from that pool. You know, especially when they're looking at, what we pay and everything like that, so. Just a thought that came to me a little ahead of what we're talking about now.
So when you're talking about a city recorder, what are you talking for pay compared to a manager? We have what, 60 to 70,000 per year here.
Thank you.
Well, an average city manager makes well over
Yeah,
6 digits. Yeah. Oh,
I'm
for
just
us.
saying what
for us.
we have to spend here.
I think this is pretty much it,
Yeah.
right? We didn't budget for anything minor.
No, not really, no. We got about 18,000 extra when you consider all that, but that's it. It's not a lot of money. Now, the poll for a city recorder goes anywhere from 35,000 to, I think the highest I've seen is like 60,
Okay,
but some range in there. But then again, you're going to be, you might not have all the skills that you need, especially when we're talking about an interim person. So we have to be aware of our circumstances, right?
but we could look at their credentials
Right.
as they come in.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to go broad is the way I look at it. It really doesn't. Okay, but back to the job description. Is everybody okay with this job description here? I mean, it's very basic.
Mhm.
I think we might, in negotiation, if we do get to an interim manager who says that they only want to stick here for 6 months, we assign them very specific task of getting the city ready to, to where we can actually handle a city recorder. So, but that's just an afterthought for later. Any more comments in regards to the description? No? Well. Do we have to make a motion on this, Rick?
I'd like direction as to what you want me to do.
We'll definitely give you directions. We'll go ahead and make a motion.
Sorry, really quick.
Sure.
My only concern with us adopting hiring criteria right now is, yes, we allow public comment, but should it have been on the agenda? That got us in trouble once before. And I hate for us to do something wrong.
We can advertise and at your regular meeting, deal with the final criteria for the position and put it on the agenda.
So we can advertise, but we definitely can't finalize.
Right. Can't hire.
And it is okay to advertise.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's. What we should do still is we will make a formal motion, but let's just give Rick some direction in regards to Exhibit A, and if we want to go with Exhibit A at this point in time, so he can go ahead and actually advertise. And we can base the advertisement off that. So also, Rick, another question. We're all new to this game. If we do use a recruiting agency, then they will want a fully signed off on it.
They are going to want to come visit with you prior to starting the recruiting process.
So we'll
Yes.
leave that for another.
But we can actually start the business of hiring, not hiring, but selecting a
Advertise.
advertising.
Just advertising.
I'll advertise it, share the current job description, put in the advertisement. The council is still reviewing and adjusting it. It'll be ready on date certain. When's our next, we'll throw it on the 4th.
June 4th?
Yeah, we'll throw it on June 4th.
Yeah.
Will be advertised and, but this is the current one that they're looking at it and we're accepting applications.
Can we advertise based on a job description that we haven't adopted?
Yes. Well, we have adopted it. It's just not the one that we want to use. This is a currently adopted job description that was adopted in October of 23.
Yeah.
Council is reviewing it and looking at how they want to change it. We're accepting candidates. The final job description will be available on June 5th.
Yep.
Yep, you're right.
We want to make sure
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
100%. We definitely want to do the gold standard here now. Okay, so let's pass on the job description for right now and look at the advertisement. So I'm just saying at the very beginning, position of city manager, it should be the official title, city manager recorder. Now we can put this in a different line. Just want to make sure we don't. Yeah, I can't see anything else in this that would be referencing the applicant description at this point. So,
Something less sentence.
complete job description application. Yeah, we might want to take that off in the time being until we actually have it.
That's where he mentioned you can fit it in.
Yeah, you put in your line for that, okay. Do we want to put pay on it at this point?
Again,
If you have to, if you're gonna get any responses.
I think we should. I think so.
Yeah.
Accept it or when you apply.
Yeah. Everybody okay with the amount, 60 to 70?
Right now.
So we have budgeted.
yeah, that's what we have budgeted, correct.
I'm wondering if, since we're looking for an interim, whether we actually break it down to monthly. It just, probably not, just leave it as is.
If we're looking that potentially we found a permanent person in this search.
Now, are they gonna be on contract?
Yes. Everybody will be on contract.
So you're
And on
not,
contract, you would change it, or if,
you're talking just a monthly contract then?
yeah,
Probably need that one.
The example in here that were provided was 3 months, and then after 3 months, 1 month at a time.
Yeah.
Gives them enough time to get in here and learn where things are and get us squared away, and then we can decide what's next.
Because 1 month go by that quick with somebody in here trying to get this together.
We're about to see.
you would never want to hire somebody for this one.
No, I'm talking
Yeah.
without the first 4
Right.
months.
Okay. What does everybody think about the advertisement?
Get it out as soon as possible, as broad as possible.
That's up tomorrow.
So everybody's in favor of the advertisement? As stated in Exhibit B.
And then for the interim, who's just gonna put interim. It'll be the same.
Yes. That's a good idea. Did you catch that, right? What's, yes, go ahead.
Garibaldi went out on the 13th. What's today? Today's the 16th.
16.
Garibaldi went out 3 days ago and started their advertisement for a new city manager. Garibaldi is population 830.
Mhm.
Their pay scale is 95 to 120.
Yeah.
They probably have a property tax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that helps, doesn't it?
They also have the best fire engine in the state, but that's another story.
I think we all know our limitations as far as funding. It's not like we can just squeeze another 20 or 30 grand out of the budget without really impacting other services.
They packed it up quite a few services.
Which is why we want to go down to the city recorder sites. And definitely advertise there, because, I mean, we really only have to pay for a city recorder.
I mean, at the end of the day, no one's going to stick around for this kind of money for all the stuff they have to do.
Yeah.
For very long. It's just something we have to deal with. It's a lot for one person.
I tend to think that Rick made a really good point in the why a city recorder isn't appropriate for us now. You know, I mean, we do have quite a few challenges in front of us. If we, you know, if we see ourselves together better in another 2 or 3 years, then maybe we can change, but for now, I feel like a city manager is really what we need.
Well,
Or what we can afford.
No, I mean, we're obviously gonna have a smaller pool of those willing to do it, but we need these things to be done.
Yeah.
You talked about a gold standard just a moment ago.
yeah,
We really are low, far below that at this moment.
but the good news is we're working on it. All right?
Whatever we call this person, city recorder
Yeah.
manager, anyway, we're asking them to do both jobs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And anybody that applies for it's going to see that, so I don't
Yeah.
think something should do it. He has to be this manager and the recorder.
Yeah, so we should just put it like we've always put it, city manager recorder.
I agree.
Advertising in a city recorder, you know, that might appeal to them more because it would seem like for just a city recorder. But, well, you know, so I don't know, but that we should advertise both ways.
Yeah.
And
But I-
just as an aside, when I was on the South Lake Fire Board, we hired a new chief and we used the SDAO to do all of that. And they came and did interviews for the city and finally, we paid them around $20,000 and that was in 2010. It's expensive to do that.
Certainly try to avoid that, I think, you know. We have 7 or 8 experienced people here, we can probably negotiate a process and save 20 grand.
We just need to get this out as broad as possible and as early as possible.
Okay, so let's talk about where you would like Rick to advertise and the ideas. I mean, Rick, you probably have a pretty good understanding yourself where all the sites go in.
The big three is the Association of Oregon Counties, the League of Oregon Cities,
Yep.
the Special Districts of Oregon, and the municipal recorders.
I saw the municipal recorder, so it's a pretty strong site. So.
Yes.
And there were a lot of recorder people out there, so.
Yeah.
I think that's where we probably get a good go. I think, what about places like Indeed? LinkedIn? Maybe I'll go to the premium and use LinkedIn myself.
We have used Indeed in the past and got
Nothing.
not really geared to that. And the first time.
And they don't do a lot of civic.
It's a small pool of people.
Yeah.
with skills.
I believe that, the information that Rick gave us just a little while ago about the League of Oregon Cities and any other opportunities, that should be our first goal, I believe.
So we're talking the major websites.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've discussed now the next steps, the determination of the desired position, determination of the criterion. We still need to do a full public comment on that, which we will do on the 4th. Because we didn't really allow for that except for anybody who showed up. Recruitment options, we talked about that. And I just want to stress the timeliness. Maybe it's just me, but I freak out when I hear that we're 2 days less than a month to go before Rick leaves, so. So we'll make pushes to get everything moving fast.
We want to set a date when we want to particularly look at the people for the first time, maybe 10 days out. If that's reasonable.
They'll have to wait for a response, I think, it'll have to
Yeah.
fit with their schedule and.
Nikki?
We could do like, advertise for 2 weeks, close the application period, review the applications the next day or something after that, and then set interview dates going forward with the candidates.
I agree with that, because, we need to set an end date, because, we need to get this ball rolling, I believe.
Yeah,
Even if we waited 2 weeks, with less than 2 weeks to turn them around and get them in here for a day. That's why I suggested a week or 10 days. Like,
It's,
balance, yeah.
it is a balance, it's like,
It's gotta happen ASAP.
yeah,
Is there a legal obligation to advertise for a certain amount of time?
I believe it.
Yeah.
The LLC has a whole procedure. Certainly tell you
Yeah,
very much well. I haven't. there's been things that-
I don't,
I'll leave that to your direction.
So do you want a closing date or you don't want a closing date? Or you're telling me to make the decision?
Is there a minimum time that we have
Oh,
to
you're talking about
advertise?
closing date.
no. The minimum time that we need to keep this position out there,
Yeah, we're asking what the minimum time is.
or is there a minimum time?
I do not know.
So let's just direct the city manager to find that out as soon as possible, and that'll be our time. Our cutoff.
Okay,
the minimum.
we can easily,
It's been 3 or 4 months, that's what it's taking.
we can easily set a deadline, but also set a date in which the first look is gonna happen.
Yeah, can we interview way before the close date?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Open until filled, though. It's better to say open until filled. First review will be on June 5th.
There we go.
yeah. I like it.
Okay.
That leaves our options a little bit more open. Doesn't mean a deadline like I thought I heard earlier. But my suggestion would be that open until filled, first review, June 5th.
I like the flexibility.
There you go.
June 5th, we would have to have a meeting then,
We would,
so should we do it on the 4th?
yes.
Workstation,
I mean, if that's adherent to the legal requirements.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm sorry, I got a question. How do I put this? What happens if we can't find a manager, and who's gonna step up to pay the bills?
Probably lean. I don't know.
Rick,
I know that's kind of a tough situation, but
that's something we have to be prepared for.
I am seeking employment closer to Salem and now where my wife lives. Um, I may or may not find employment by June 14th. And even if by chance I did, I would make the necessary arrangements for most likely a Saturday, but I can easily find within my, I don't want to leave you guys high and dry.
Please.
I can easily arrange to provide things that need to have happen, even if I do happen to find employment by June 14th.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very generous.
absolutely, and that's just a stopgap until we can hopefully get somebody in here.
Well, I would like to consider it more of an emergency. Okay, task and follow-up. So, the advertisement is going out. The task would be to, well, we covered what the succession plan will be. Basically, I think we just talked about it, as in if we don't find somebody that Rick would help out, then maybe a day to make sure we still can kind of function. And, or just, we can also do a plan B too. Find an interim city recorder or something too, if it's a real, if we're in a real tight spot, or we don't see anything on the horizon. City recorder will be a lot easier to find, but we'll find that out more in the process.
Are we advertising for both
Both,
interim city?
No, we're advertising for what we have now, which is a city manager recorder.
Last reporter.
We're advertising for the permanent position, the interim.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the LOC has a guide to recruiting a city administrator on their website, would be a good thing for people to look at, step by step, all the requirements. So, see what they have to say. I got it up here with them.
Okay. Now I have a 10A agenda item.
That me?
That's you.
The city council is going to have a special meeting on June 4th. I've got these around the room. On the back, on the podium, up here. This is about code enforcement. The draft ordinance is in here. They're going to do a special meeting for the sole purpose of public input on June 4th. If you care about code enforcement, if you want to be involved in code enforcement, if you want to understand what the new rules may be, this is it. It's your golden opportunity. The plan is to have a public hearing, close the meeting, and then the council's going to sit down and go through this draft ordinance and make adjustments to it as they deem appropriate. So June 4th, 6 o'clock. This is on the web, but this is the opportunity to be engaged with the code enforcement issue within the city of Lakeside.
And I would encourage everybody to participate. And the plan is once we're finished with that meeting, any final changes to the draft will go to the attorney. Attorney will make sure that everything's correct, and then on the June
13th.
The June 13th meeting will adopt it, if we decide we want to adopt. All right. Does anybody have any further comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for attending. I just myself want to say, Rick is still going to be around for at least a month, but, I'm sorry your life circumstances aren't working out for the city of Lakeside, but, I wish we had you for at least 6 more months, That's all I gotta say. Nobody else wants to say anything.
well, thank you for showing up for the meeting, everybody.
All right, a meeting adjourned at 6:49. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.